Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat in silence and truly listened to the weight you carry? Not the noise in your head, not the stories you've rehearsed, not the excuses, not the distractions, but the weight. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That memory you can't shake, that moment you keep replaying, that version of yourself you wish you could delete. It follows you, doesn't it? Like a shadow that never learned how to let go. And no matter how much time passes, no matter how much you grow, no matter how hard you try to bury it, it finds a way to crawl back up, sit on your chest, and whisper the same three words. You failed me. Tell me, how long have you been punishing yourself? For days? Months? Years? Guilt has this strange way of surviving long after the story ends. It doesn't need truth. It doesn't need logic. It just needs you and your willingness to relive the pain again. It's quiet, it's subtle, it's invisible to everyone else. But inside it feels like a war you can never win. And here's the part nobody talks about. Guilt doesn't chain you because you're weak. It chains you because you care, because you're human, because what happened mattered to you. But caring is not the same as bleeding, and guilt is the wound that never stops reopening. Today, you're going to learn how to close it, not by pretending it doesn't hurt, not by forgetting it happened, but by finally understanding the truth behind it. Stay with me, because this might be the moment everything changes for you. You know, there's something almost cruel about guilt. It doesn't knock, it doesn't warn you, it just shows up, sets itself down in the center of your mind, and acts like it owns the place. It doesn't care if you're trying to move forward. It doesn't care if you've changed. It doesn't care if you've spent years rebuilding the pieces of yourself that moment shattered. Guilt only cares about one thing: keeping you stuck in a story that no longer exists. And the truth is, most people aren't trapped by what happened. They're trapped by the story they tell themselves about what happened. They replay their worst moment like a movie on repeat, but never let the story evolve, never allow the character to grow, never allow the redemption arc to begin. They stay frozen, held hostage by a version of themselves that doesn't even live here anymore. Think about it. You are not the same person you were a year ago, not the same person you were 6 months ago, not even the same person you were last week. You've grown, you've learned, you've changed. But guilt pretends none of that matters. It drags you back into the old room, hands you the same script, sits you down under the same dim light, and tells you, say the lines, feel the shame, stay who you were. And maybe you've done that for so long, you forgot something important. You're allowed to outgrow the things that once broke you. You're allowed to step out of that old version of yourself. You're allowed to rewrite the chapter. You're allowed to look at that moment and say, I'm not running from you anymore, but I'm not going to let you own me either. The problem isn't that you feel guilt. The problem is that you've been living in it, breathing it, carrying it like it's the price you must pay for becoming better. But listen closely. Guilt was meant to be a signal, not a sentence. It was meant to guide you, not bury you. It was meant to teach you, not torment you. And if you've been living your life in that emotional prison, you're not alone. Most people are never taught how to let go. They're only taught how to hold on. But today, you're going to learn the difference. Guilt. It doesn't work the way people think it does. It isn't just regret. It isn't just sadness. It isn't just wishing something went differently. No, guilt is a loop, a psychological cycle, a trap built from the inside out. And once you fall into it, it becomes incredibly hard to climb out. Not because you're weak, but because guilt is designed to keep you circling back to the same moment. Let me explain. When you make a mistake, your mind creates a kind of emotional snapshot, a frozen moment in time. That moment becomes charged with meaning, with disappointment, with shame, with fear, with the feeling that you should have known better. And instead of processing it, instead of learning from it, instead of letting it become a chapter, you trap it inside yourself. Not intentionally, not maliciously. You trap it because you think that holding it will prevent you from repeating it. But guilt doesn't stop you from repeating the past. Guilt keeps you living in it. And what we live in, we tend to recreate. Think about that. When guilt convinces you that you are the mistake, you start behaving like someone who can't be better, like someone who doesn't deserve better, like someone who is destined to fail. And that belief, that identity, creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. You think you're broken, so you act broken. You think you're unworthy, so you stop trying. You think you're a bad person, so you sabotage yourself before life does. And the cycle repeats. Guilt locks you into the lowest version of yourself and forces you to re-experience a moment that no longer exists in a time where you are no longer the same person. That's the trap. It tricks you into believing you're doing something responsible, something moral, something necessary, when in reality you're just drowning in a memory that refuses to stay in the past. And here's the darkest part. The more you punish yourself, the more comfortable guilt becomes. It roots itself deeper. It settles in. It convinces you that this is home, that this is where you belong, that this is who you are. And after a while, you stop questioning it. You stop fighting it. You stop imagining a life where you're allowed to move on. Because the loop has done its job, it has rewritten your identity. But listen to me carefully. You are not the loop. You are not the guilt. You are not the worst chapter of your story. You are the one who survived it. You are the one who learned from it. You are the one who is still here, still breathing, still trying. And that means something. It means the loop can be broken. It means the cycle can end. It means you can rewrite the story. But you can't do it while living in a moment that's already over. This is the truth. Guilt never wants you to realize. The door to the prison was never locked. You were just taught to stop looking for the handle. There's something I need you to understand, something simple, yet unbelievably powerful. You are human. And being human means you are going to fall. You are going to stumble. You are going to make decisions you later wish you could rewind, erase, redo. That's not failure. That's not weakness. That's not proof that you're broken. That's proof that you're alive. Show me a person who has never made mistakes, and I'll show you someone who has never taken risks, never tried to grow, never stepped outside their comfort zone, never pushed themselves into the unknown. You, on the other hand, are learning, stretching, changing, becoming someone new. But guilt tries to hide that from you. It tells you that because you fell once, you don't deserve to stand again. Because you made one wrong turn, you don't deserve to keep moving. Because you hurt someone or disappointed yourself or failed at something important, you no longer deserve happiness. That is a lie. Every great story, every strong person, every hero you've ever admired was shaped by their mistakes. Not by their perfection, not by their best days, but by the moments that forced them to confront who they were and decide who they wanted to become. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall again and again. They wobble, lose balance, hit the ground, cry, get frustrated. But there is not a single person in the world who looks at that child and thinks, "Wow, what a failure." Because we understand that falling is not proof of inability. It is proof of progress. And yet, when it comes to ourselves, we forget that. We expect perfection. We expect instant clarity. We expect ourselves to be immune to mistakes. But that's not human. That's fiction. You are allowed to be messy. You are allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself. You are allowed to change your mind, to change your habits, to change your beliefs, to change your direction. You are allowed to evolve. And the mistake you keep holding on to, it doesn't define you. It doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't represent the totality of your character. It is a moment, a single moment in a life that still has chapters left to write. You are not the mistake. You are the lesson. You are the growth. You are the becoming. And maybe no one ever told you this, so I'll say it now. You are allowed to forgive the person you used to be. You are allowed to recognize your humanity without drowning in shame. You are allowed to rebuild, to recover, to rise. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to become whole. So now that you understand the trap and you understand your humanity, the question becomes, how do you actually move forward? How do you step out of the loop? How do you stop living in the moment that hurt you and start living in the moment you're in right now? It begins with something simple, but not easy. Step 1. Separate the action from your identity. The mistake is what you did. It is not who you are. But guilt tries to merge the two. It tries to tattoo the moment onto your identity and convince you that you're permanently defined by it. But listen, you are not the moment you regret. You are the person who grew from it. You are not the choice you made. You are the awareness that followed. You are not the damage you caused. You are the healing you're capable of creating. When you stop seeing yourself as the mistake, you free yourself to become the lesson. Step 2. Extract the lesson, not the pain. Every mistake carries two things, a lesson and a wound. The wound hurts, the lesson heals. But most people keep licking the wound and never reach for the wisdom. You can't rewrite the past, but you can reframe it. Ask yourself, what did this teach me? What did I learn about myself? How did this moment shape the person I'm becoming? What strength did it reveal? What weakness did it expose so I can now work on it? What door did it close, and what door might it be nudging me toward? When you take the lesson, the moment becomes a teacher instead of a tormentor. Step 3. Replace punishment with compassion. This is the hardest one, the step most people resist, the step that feels almost unnatural at first. Because we're taught to be hard on ourselves, we're taught that shame is discipline, that suffering is responsibility, that self-hatred is somehow honorable. But it isn't. It's destructive. Compassion is not letting yourself off the hook. Compassion is giving yourself the chance to climb out. It's speaking to yourself the way you'd speak to someone you love. If someone you cared about made the same mistake, would you condemn them forever? Would you drag them through the mud for years? Would you tell them they're unworthy, unlovable, irredeemable? No, you'd hold them. You'd guide them. You'd remind them that they're still a good person who made a human mistake. Why can't you offer that to yourself? You deserve grace. You deserve patience. You deserve the opportunity to grow without being crushed by your own hands. And with compassion, something powerful happens. You stop trying to fix the old version of yourself and start building the new version. Forgiveness isn't a lightning strike. It isn't a sudden miracle. It isn't one big moment. It's a choice, a habit, a practice. Sometimes you will choose it easily. Sometimes you will choose it through tears. Sometimes you will choose it out of sheer exhaustion. But you will choose it. And over time, forgiveness shifts from a battle to a path only you can walk, but one you don't have to walk alone. There comes a point in every journey where the past stops pulling you and the future starts calling you. Maybe you haven't felt it in a long time. Maybe life has beaten you down so many times that hope feels foreign, distant, almost dangerous. But I promise you, it's still there. That spark, that light, that tiny voice inside you saying, I want to be better. I want to heal. I want to rise. That voice is you. The real you, the one buried under guilt, the one hiding beneath the weight, the one curled up behind all the stories you've told yourself. And now, it's time for that version of you to stand up. You are not a prisoner. You are not a ghost of your mistakes. You are not a shadow of your lowest moment. You are a phoenix in disguise, because every time you thought you were breaking, you were actually reshaping. Every time life brought you to your knees, you were gathering the strength to rise. Every scar you carry is not a reminder of where you failed. It's a reminder of where you fought. Look at yourself. Really look. You've survived every single thing that once convinced you that you wouldn't make it. You're still standing, maybe not perfectly, but beautifully. You don't have to carry guilt into your next chapter. You don't have to hold on to a version of yourself that no longer represents who you are. You get to shed. You get to transform. You get to rise from everything that tried to bury you. Let the old self fall away. Let the old pain break off. Let the shame burn itself out. You are not your past. You are not your lowest moment. You are not your guilt. You are the person who is walking away from it. You are becoming someone new, someone wiser, someone stronger, someone more compassionate, someone who understands that healing is not forgetting. Healing is choosing. Choosing yourself, choosing growth, choosing to rise again and again and again. Because that's what you were born to do. You were born to rise. You've walked through the darkness. You've faced the weight. You've looked guilt in the eye and seen it for what it really is. Not a life sentence, but a lesson. Not a chain, but a chapter. And now, you stand here, different, wiser, lighter, more awake than you've been in a long time. You've learned what guilt never wanted you to know, that you were never broken beyond repair. You were simply becoming someone stronger. You've learned that the moment you regret is not the end of your story. It is the turning point. You've learned that forgiveness is not a gift you give to your past. It's a gift you give to your future. And that future, the one waiting just beyond the horizon, needs you. Not the you who hides from the past, but the you who grows from it. You are not defined by the moment that hurt you. You are defined by the moment you decide to rise from it. And guess what? This, right now, is that moment. You don't have to relive the same pain anymore. You don't have to punish yourself anymore. You don't have to keep dragging the version of you that's begging to be released. Let them go. Not because they were unimportant, not because they didn't matter, but because you matter more. You deserve peace. You deserve clarity. You deserve a life built on growth, not guilt. And when guilt tries to creep back in, when it tries to whisper its old lines, you'll finally have the strength to say, that's not me anymore. I'm not staying there. I choose to rise. Because now you know the truth. Your story isn't over. Your chapter isn't closed. Your future isn't cancelled. It is waiting, bright, open, ready for you. Step into it, one breath, one moment, one new beginning at a time. If this message reached you today, if it reminded you that you're allowed to grow, allowed to heal, allowed to rise, then don't let this be the end of your journey. There are so many people in this world carrying the same weight you've been carrying, people who don't know where to turn, people who think they're alone, people who haven't heard the words you just heard. You can be the reason they breathe a little easier. You can be the reason they take the first step. Share this video with someone who needs light, someone who needs hope, someone who deserves a second chance at themselves. And if you're walking your own path of growth, if you're committed to becoming someone stronger, someone lighter, someone more aligned with who you really are, I'd love for you to stay. Subscribe, not for me, but for you. For the version of you who refuses to give up, for the version of you who's ready to rise from every shadow, for the version of you who knows this is just the beginning. Your future is waiting and you don't have to face it alone.